It's time for Test Prep 19. Let's get started. While playing cards, Sam scored 7 more points than Jim. Jim scored 4 times as many points as Greg. If Greg scored 5 points, how many points did Sam score? Well, let's start from what we know. We know that Greg scored 5 points, right? Yep. And Jim scored 4 times as many points as Greg. So we need Greg times 4, which is 20 points. And we know that Sam scored 7 more points than Jim. So we need Jim plus 7 to get Sam's, which is 27 points. So how many points did Sam score? 27. Okay, draw a rectangle, a parallelogram, a trapezoid, and a rhombus. Well, a rectangle. That's what I usually think of when I think of a rectangle, right? 2 sides that are the same, 2 sides that are the same, 2 sides parallel, and 4 right angles, right? Yep. Now, could this also be a parallelogram? Yep, but this can also be a parallelogram, right? Because a parallelogram just has 2 pairs of parallel sides. All right, a trapezoid can only have 1 pair of parallel sides, so we usually see it something like this. Those 2 are parallel, those 2 are not. All right, and a rhombus. All the sides are the same length, and 2 sides are parallel, and 2 more sides are parallel. So I got to get them the same length. Now, this is not a square because those are not right angles, I'm pretty sure. But could a square be a rhombus? Yep, it sure could. So, parallel sides, not necessarily right angles, but they're all the same length, right? Rectangle, parallelogram, trapezoid, and a rhombus. The fee is $1.40. Ben put a quarter, 2 dimes, and 4 nickels in the basket. How much more money does he need to put in? Well, he put a quarter, 2 dimes, and 4 nickels. So let's figure out how much that is. Well, a quarter is 25 cents, 2 dimes is 20 cents, and 4 nickels is 20 cents. Now what am I going to do with these? I'm going to add them all up. 5 plus 0 is 5, and 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6. So I've got 65 cents right now that he's already put in the basket. How much more does he need to put in? Well, let's think. He needs to put $1.40 in total, and he's put 65 cents in. So if I subtract these, what do I get? Well, I can't take 0 minus 5, so I've got to borrow. This is going to be a 3, and now I have a 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. Got to borrow again. 13 minus 6 is 7. 75 cents. Oops, better put a 0 there. So, Ben still needs to put in 75 cents. 58 apples were baked as evenly as possible into 7 pies. How many pies had exactly 8 apples? How many pies had 9 apples? Well, let's think. If I've got 58 apples, and I'm going to put them in 7 pies. Well, 7 goes into 58 8 times. 8 times 7 is 56. 5, 6, 7, 8. Subtract and I get a 2. So 8 remainder 2. So let's think about this. A wants to know how many had exactly 8. B wants to know how many had 9. Well, if I look at my remainder of 2, how many had, 9 apples? 2 pies. So how many does that leave out of my 7 to have 8 apples? 5 pies. Okay? Draw a square and shade 75% of it. All right, let me see if I can draw a square on my iPad. Hey, that's not too bad. Now I'm going to shade 75%. There's 50. Ooh, there's 25. Now I have 75s. Okay, so now I'm going to shade 75%. That's going to be all of this right here. Okay? Letter A says, what decimal number names the shaded part of this square? Well, I kind of had to shade it with my own pin on here, so it got a little messy. But there's one row here shaded, and then 2 on this one shaded. So how many would that be altogether? That would be 12 shaded little boxes. So what decimal number is that? Well, that would be 12 hundredths, because this is 100 little squares. So 12 hundredths are shaded. What decimal number names the part that is not shaded? Well, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 full rows, and then I've got 8 left in this partial row right here. So that would be 88 hundredths. I could also take out of my 100, subtract 12 from it, and I would still get 88 for here. Okay? Which digit in 34 and 952 thousandths is in the hundredths place? Well, here's my tens place. Here's my ones place. Then I have my decimal. Here's my tenths place, my hundredths place, and my thousandths place. So I'm looking for hundredths, which would be this number right here. So there is a 5 in my hundredths place. Estimate the product of 54 and 67. Then find the exact product. Well, first we need to estimate. So if I'm going to estimate, I'm going to round these two numbers. What am I going to round to? I hope you're saying 50 and 70. And since I'm finding the product, I'm multiplying. So 5 times 7 is 35. And how many zeros am I going to add? 2. Now I need to find the exact product. 54 times 67. 7 times 4 is 28. 7 times 5 is 35 plus 2, 37. Now, 6 times 4, 24. I'm going to use that 2 again. 6 times 5 is 30 plus 2 is 32. Now I'm going to add. 8 plus 0 is 8. 7 plus 4 is 11. 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 6. And 3 plus nothing is 3. 3,618. And my estimate was 3,500. So pretty close because I rounded both this one down and this one up. So we're close. Jenny bought a meter of ribbon and cut off 1/8 of it to make a bow. How many millimeters of ribbon did Jenny use to make the bow? Well, I noticed that I have meters and I have millimeters. How many millimeters are in a meter? I hope you're saying, there are 1,000, Mrs. Kaup, there are 1,000 millimeters. So 1,000 millimeters, and I'm dividing it into how many pieces? 8, because she cut off 1/8 of it. So if I cut off 1/8 of it, that would be like taking 1,000 divided by 8. So what is 1,000 divided by 8? Well, 8 goes into 10 one time. 1 times 8 is 8. Subtract and I get a 2. Bring down my 0. 8 goes into 20 2 times. 2 times 8 is 16. Subtract and I get a 4. Bring down my 0. 8 goes into 40 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. Subtract and I get a 0. So 125 millimeters would be 1/8. Now if I drew a picture, which I could, and wrote 1,000 and divided this into eighths, which could get tricky. There's fourths. There's eighths. That would be this piece right here. So if I wrote 125, 125, 125, 125, 125, 125, 125, and 125, that would give me my total of 1,000, so I should be okay. This is just junk in the middle. Okay, What is the area of this rectangle? And for some reason, I was really excited and put an exclamation mark. Didn't know this was so exciting. All right, area. I need to multiply two adjacent sides. So 50 times 30. 5 times 3 is 15. Add 2 zeros. Label it what? Square feet. Excellent. There are 21 people at the movies. 2/3 of them had tickets. How many people had tickets? Now, it doesn't say I need to draw a picture for this one, but it's sure going to help. So, 21 people at the movies. 2/3 had tickets. So I need to divide into thirds. And I'm looking for this part right here. They had tickets. Oops, that's an I. Imagine with me, that's an I. And these people had no tickets. I hope they still get in. All right, so how am I going to figure out what 2/3 of 21 is? Well, I'm going to take 21, and I'm going to divide it by 3. And 21 divided by 3 is 7. 7 times 3 is 21. Subtract and I get a 0. So 7, 7, 7. Now, how many people had tickets? I'm going to have to take 7 plus 7, or 7 times 2, to find out the 2/3. Either way, it's 14. So 14 people had tickets. Bill rode 170 kilometers in 5 hours. If Bill rode at that speed, how far did Bill go in 1 hour? He went 170 kilometers in 5 hours. So 170 divided by 5. 5 goes into 17 3 times. 3 times 5 is 15. 17 minus 15 is 2. Bring down my 0. 5 goes into 20 4 times. 4 times 5 is 20. Subtract and I get a 0. So, in 1 hour, he would go 34 miles. Write 31 hundredths as a decimal number. Now this could also be written like this, but my computer or my iPad won't let me do it like that, so that's why I wrote it like that. But 31 hundredths as a decimal. Well, 0, decimal, tenths, hundredths. 31. That's 31 hundredths as a decimal. That's a 1 that's now very sloppy. 4 and 6 tenths minus 78 hundredths. Well, 4 and 6 tenths minus 78 hundredths. Ooh, my decimals are really small. All right, now we got to subtract. Well, I can't take my fluff 0 minus 8, so I need to borrow. This becomes a 5. 10 minus 8 is 2. 5 minus 7 I can't do, so I've got to borrow from my 4. 15 minus 7 is 8. Put down my decimal. 3 minus 0 is 3. So 3 and 82 hundredths. 50 times 700. Well, I can take 5 times 7, which is 35, and I can add 1, 2, 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3. Put a comma, and be done. 35,000. $5.48 times 6. Well, $5.48 times 6. Okay, 8 times 6 is 48. 6 times 4 is 24, plus this crazy looking 4 that's up here getting worse is 28. 6 times 5 is 30, plus 2 is 32. Put my decimal, put my dollar sign. Woohoo! $32.88. All right, 53 times 34. Well, 3 times 4 is 12. 4 times 5 is 20. Plus 1 is 21. Put down my 0. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 5 is 15. Add them up. 2 plus 0 is 2. 9 plus 1 is 10. 5 plus 2 is 7. Plus 1 more is 8. And 1 plus nothing is 1. 1,802. 750 divided by 3. How many times does 3 go into 7? 2. 2 times 3 is 6. Subtract and I get a 1. 3 goes into 15. 5 times 3 is 15. Subtract and I get a 0. Bring down my 0 and put up a 0 since I'm at double zeros. 0 times 3 is 0. Subtract and I get a 0. 250. 852 divided by 6. Well, let's write it the normal way so that we can actually do this problem. Okay, 8 goes into 6, or 6 goes into 8. 1 times 6 is 6. Subtract and I get a 2. Bring down my 5. 25. 6 goes into 25. How about 4 times? 4 times 6 is 24. Subtract and I get a 1. Bring down my 2. 6 goes into 12. 2 times 6 is 12. Subtract and I get a 0. 142. Find the missing addend in 6 plus 8 plus 7 plus 5 plus f plus 9 plus 5 plus 3 plus 2 equals 72. We need to find f. So, 6, 8, 7, 5, 9, 5, 3, 2. I'm going to add these all up. What can I put together? Well, I've got an 8 and a 2. That's 10. I got a 5 and a 5. That's 10. I got a 3 and a 7. That's 10. What do I have left? I got a 9 and a 6. That's 15. Did I get everything? Yep, I think so. So, 15 plus 10 is 25, plus another 10 is 35, plus another 10 is 45. So 5, and I don't have any 10s, so 4. 45. So I now have f plus 45 equals 72. Well, what do I need to do? Subtract 72 minus 45. 7 becomes a 6. 12 minus 5 is 7. 6 minus 4 is 2. So f equals 27. We're done. Yay. Have a great night.